All right, welcome to today's webinar. Me and Kalle Kiiskinen, we're going to host a basic user training webinar today. For anyone not live here, we're going to send the recording, and you can see the recording from our social media channels. I will quickly remind before I jump into the topics that we have activity in all of these channels. We're mostly active in LinkedIn and Instagram, so make sure you're following us on those channels. I'm Joona Taskinen. I'm working customer success here at Seidat and Visualizer. We have a separate webinar on what is Visualizer and why Seidat has merged with Visualizer at the end of 2024. If you're interested, go to seidat.com and find the webinar recording from there. But yeah, I work with the customers daily, with Seidat customers doing the onboardings and projects and Visualizer visit and assistant customers day to day. And I'm joined with Kalle. I'll let Kalle introduce himself.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Kalle Kiiskinen and I work as a customer success manager here at Seidat. And my main responsibility is all the customers who are using the Seidat presentation tool. And basically the whole customer life cycle for them is on my desk. So I help the customers onboard, I host the user trainings, and my main goal is to keep our customers satisfied and help them achieve their goals with Seidat and maximize their potential with Seidat. I've been here for a bit over a year now, and my background is mostly in software and other B2B sales and customer management.
All right. And a quick reminder that any of you who have an active Seidat subscription, Kalle is the main source of contact. So if you have any questions, you can copy the contact details from there. You can find them also on our website, or use the chat on our application or on our website to get in most cases, the quickest reply. Most cases, it's under a minute when we have replied to you already by a human, not a bot. Let's go to the agenda of today's webinar. We have 4 main topics, and at the end I have a bit of a cherry on top, so keeping you occupied for the about 45 minutes that we're gonna cover them, and then I'm gonna share what it is. It is one of our up-and-coming features that we are very excited about. But first, let's go through the topics themselves. We're gonna cover what actually is Seidat. I'm gonna run you through the basic existence of Seidat, why we are here, what has been the path. I'm gonna keep it quite concise though. Then we're gonna check how to create and edit presentations in Seidat. Then I'll let Kalle tell a little bit about presenting and sharing Seidat materials, and also about analytics and few of the integrations that Seidat has to different tools. We have the live chat open, so if you have any questions, you can send them in the chat. And for anyone who's not here, we're going to send the recording later. Let's jump into what is actually Seidat. So Seidat is a presentation platform, typically sales presentation platform, which is used in over 30 countries at the moment actively. We have usage in more than 100 countries annually. So people from different countries connecting to our servers in a nutshell. Recently, we merged, like I said, with Visualizer. So we are now, we have annual recurring revenue, so software licenses for more than 1 million. We have 15 employees. We have been roughly, both companies have been established at the same time, independently of each other in 2015. So both companies been around, and currently it's just Seidat has been around for 10 years. And there's quite a surprisingly large amount of, or I don't know, surprisingly, but ambitious amount of slides, more than 5 million slides, 18,000 users who have accounts in Seidat. We have different industries. We have calculated the different industries in the past. I cannot tell the exact amount, but it's in somewhere 20-30 different industries. But of course, it's difficult to count the different industries and put the companies into different industry boxes, so to say. But our most use from our customers come from maybe these 5 different industries, but it's not limited to those. We have a lot of hospitality clients. We have hotels, tour operators, conference centers as our clients. Then we have a lot of professional service providers, so selling typically consulting, industrial manufacturing, so big factories, global companies who operate in multiple countries. We have a lot of smaller and bigger tech and software companies, startups, and established companies as well. And then, especially in Finland, we have a lot of building industry companies who need to display their wide variety of their materials in a good way. And Seidat has been built to, of course, tackle any material that the company may have. Mostly the usage is around sales, so B2B sales in particular. So naturally, the material that people create in Seidat is revolving around the sales phase of the material creation. So typically starting with some sort of lead magnets. It can be guides, it can be other materials that you have on your website that you may share to your clients once they submit an email, for example. And then you have different materials that you have the salespeople using, like the intro decks, which you may send before the meeting, the sales deck or decks that you may use during the different sales meetings. Then you might send some material to the client, some sponsor letters, for example, proposals, which in most cases turns into an agreement. These are materials that we use mainly in Seidat, but we have a lot of internal materials. We have a lot of marketing materials, customer success materials. So it's not only limited to these. And of course, these are updated manually and also through integrations in most cases. So it's getting the mindset of what Seidat is. What comes to the presentations themselves, they have a unique structure in most of them. Of course, not necessary in all cases, but in most cases, the presentations have been structured to help to use them in a meeting and help also you to create them. So you can sort of have multiple different presentations in one bigger presentations. And the idea is that if you have a meeting, you can have 50 or 100 slides in the presentation, and natural direction of the discussion that you have with the client shouldn't be determined by what 10 slides you have following each other. It should be natural discussion where you have slides that you can pick and choose to the situation you have. So if you have 100 slide presentation, you may only use 5 or 10 of them, but you have the correct slides. And that's where the Seidat matrix described on the right with the boxes comes into play. So you have the different, typically there are categories that you have on the vertical axis that you may have product 1, product 2, product 3, and then on the horizontal axis you can have different sort of categories. And the idea is that the higher in the structure the slide is, the more important it is, right? So you can build the presentations to be easy to navigate, even though they're massive. And in the sales meeting or in any presentation situation, you can seamlessly navigate from any slide to any other slide. Kalle will show an example of this later, but that's important to remember, that the idea is to build sort of the de facto process of the sales meeting into the presentation, so you have everything you need, but you don't need to follow it precisely, because no meeting is exactly like the previous one. Then another thing that we have we have worked on to ease the pain with our clients is that in most cases the presentation is actually built by multiple people, multiple different people with different agendas, and this can lead in some cases with more traditional tools like PowerPoint. It can lead to a situation where the salesperson might present a presentation that looks nothing like the presentation it should look like. The brand settings are all over the place. It may have some outdated material that no one can update, and the salesperson cannot be bothered to update. That's one use case where the Seidat tool comes into play. So you can have somebody creating the presentation, and then there is the product people, and then there's the sales lead getting it further, and then there's the individual salespeople who actually use it. And since it's one open platform where anyone can see the presentations if they have enough access, it's easier to well keep an eye out on like the correct usage of images, for example. And there's also settings, which we're going to cover today, which help you and anyone using Seidat to keep the material up to date as it should be. Then let's go a bit further, a bit more into the details. In any presentation tool, we of course need to have the possibility to do the basic functions of presentation: editing, sharing, presenting, and that we all have in Seidat with some additional benefits that the platform offers. So you can import PowerPoints, you can create presentations from scratch, and then you can update the presentations later, all without leaving Seidat at any stage. Then you can present the materials, and typically the presenting is online. So like I'm sharing now, it's a Seidat presentation that I'm sharing in the screen share, and then we can share it at any stage. That's pretty basic, but there's a lot of nuances when we go into details. Then of course we need the salespeople need to know what's happening. They need to analytics, and then we need sort of, I don't know if the top-down approach is correct to describe it, but we need some control over the presentations themselves. So we have, like I mentioned, we have some brand settings, for example, which you can set to the workspace, and then we have possibility to integrate, for example, with different tools, which will help you keep the materials up to date. So you can have the integration actually updating some of the materials instead of somebody manually doing it. Let's jump over that. Actually, we already covered it. Pretty basic stuff is also that the tool is usable within any venue that you're using it. You can use Seidat on any device essentially, and typically it requires internet access. If you know that you don't have internet access where you're going, you can also download the presentation to your device and then use that as an offline presentation. So that's one thing. And then here's another example of how the presentations are being updated. So we have the brand, which I've already talked about, and we have image bank or media bank rather, which we're going to cover today. We have smart slides. We have the possibility to have iframes, and all these different features and many more keep the material more easily up to date. And here is an example of what smart slides, for example, do in Seidat. So you have on the left side, you have somebody editing a slide, and then once they press save, it's saved on all of the different presentations where that individual slide is being used. So this will ensure that the material is, in most cases, of course, if the presentation doesn't utilize smart slides, then it's a bit more trickier to update, you have to go there to update them individually, but in most cases it will make it a lot easier to update materials in Seidat. Then let's go into to edit the materials in Seidat. So I will start with an image of the dashboard. The dashboard is the first view all users getting to Seidat will see. I'm not gonna jump into all the different buttons and things that we have here, but to put it simply, you can see all the materials, aka presentations, in one view. You have the top bar where you can access a lot of the key features of Seidat, and then on the right side you can choose which tags you want to use. So Seidat it's one of the benefits that you can have any materials there. You can have the sales material, marketing materials, and so on, which can lead to a problem that you have so many different presentations that it's hard to find the right one. So even though we're not going to cover the tags in this webinar today, I will just remind that you can tag the different presentations with the predefined tags, which will make it easier to find the material you're looking for. For example, when me and Kalle were preparing for this webinar, we just chose the right tags and we found all the webinar presentations in one view, and it was easy to copy the previous webinar on this topic and then do the updates to that. And then I will actually share my screen from a demo workspace. So the presentations are a bit different, but the idea is the same. And if we now want to go and start editing the material, we would go to the edit presentation mode, which would show us the presentation all at once, or I can scroll to the right and see the rest of the pages. But I can see the material, I can see all the different individual slides that the presentation has. I can, in this view, I can move the slides around just by dragging them from top to move the whole column, or move individual slides just by dragging from top of them, not pressing the buttons or the number on the left corner. I can also delete slides in this view, and I can add any slide from any different presentation that the presentation has or the workspace has, or I can add any smart slide to the presentation if I choose to do so. So this is the presentation editing view where I can move, edit, delete and add slides to the presentation. And then when I go from the pen icon to edit the market size slide, for example, I have the stuff laid out here in the slide in the center. I can immediately start editing the existing elements, text elements, shape elements, and so on, just by dragging and interacting with them. I can double click to edit the text. I can change the color of the text box, for example, and so on. The layout of the slide editor is so that on the left side, when we have done any edits, the save button will illuminate blue, indicating that there is some unsaved stuff on the slide. And then once I press save, it will be saved to the server, to the database. And that means that only after I press save, the details will be saved and actual, and anyone using this slide, for example, would see the updated version. So there can be only one version of the slide if it's the same slide, which is always the latest, which was saved the last. And then it allows me, because I don't need to press the save immediately, I can do the edits, and then only once I'm done, I can save them to avoid some salespeople, for example, being in the midst of presentation, and then me doing the the editing and giving them a bit of a shock in the meeting. So that's on the left, and then following that we have a bunch of different buttons. We have a button to create new text elements. We have a button to add media, meaning images. Nothing in that folder, meaning images, graphics in SVG format, or GIFs, so short videos, or actual videos in, I think, MP4 and MOV and different kind of file formats. The videos are only supported on Seidat Plus and Pro tiers. So if you're using Seidat on the free tier or core tier, then you need to upgrade to have videos added to Seidat's media bank. Then we have tables, so you can create basic tables which you can fill in text for. You can also copy tables from Google Sheet or MS Excel, for example, and then paste them here, and they will be added. You can then choose to edit the table in whatever way you want. It doesn't support formulas at the moment, but the basic like presentation features are there. Then you can add shapes. There are plenty of different kind of shapes which you can add to the slide. You have iframe embed here, so I will show you a few examples of what stuff you can add as an iframe here to the presentation a bit later, but you can add the iframe, or you can embed video. So if you have YouTube video, you can embed that, and that's included in all of the different tiers of Seidat, whereas adding the video into the media bank is only restricted to Plus and Pro. Then you can change the background color and set the background image. Now we have some person on the background in a cool looking jacket, but we could replace that with any image we have in the workspace. Let's use that for now. Then, as I mentioned before, once you have an element active, now I took the pin to be active, and then I can see the view changing on the top. And now when I chose text element, I have the text element related stuff here on top. And then on the right side, I have additional stuff. I have the editor settings, so my settings on what goes on in here. So I have a few settings I can change. Then I have object location within the slide, so I can set it through here. So if I change the location of the element, it will reflect that here. I can change the size. I can change the rotation, which I can also do here. So if I want to rotate the element, I can do it here. And then I have the skew, which is this kind of thing that it will just tilt the image or skew the image in whatever direction you want. And then I have the element stack, which describes all the different elements that the slide has, and I can move them up or down on the slide. I know this is very quick and concise summary of the features here. I didn't press every button, and that's not the idea of this webinar either. I highly suggest that once you take Seidat into use, you spend 10-15 minutes within the slide editor. If you're used to web-based tools, it should be pretty basic to learn how to use it. If you haven't used those that much, then it might take a bit more than 15 minutes to familiarize with where is what. But the editing of the slide is pretty basic and easy. You can, of course, anytime use an existing slide. You don't need to start from scratch. So you can use whatever slide your workspace has. And if your workspace doesn't have the slides that you're looking for, then you can add them from the PowerPoint import, or you have some materials that you can purchase. Some of them are free, some of them are paid, but we have plenty of presentation templates you can also buy or get for free. If we go back to the presentation that I was showing earlier, I will cover a few content options and main features in a nutshell before I will give Kalle the mic back. So we have plenty of options, as I mentioned before, which you can in most cases embed with the iframe. So to put it simply, any material that you have which you could add to your website, you can add in most cases to your Seidat presentation. So those being videos, PDFs, booking calendars, calculators, whatever. I will show you a few examples, and if you have an idea that, hey, could I use this or that, you can ask us into chat. So one of the most used use cases is a website. So here I'm scrolling the website. I can go to the company page, for example, and use that as a browser within the presentation, essentially. We can also embed videos from YouTube. I can have a booking calendar. Kalle's calendar is added here, and then I can also have the calculator. I can have 360 images, which I can then, once it's loading, I can scroll through, and where did I lose the presentation window? And that's like just the tip of the iceberg. So we can have plenty of different things. And then a few of the other things in very short format. So in Seidat, we have the Smart Slide Bank, which I already mentioned. It's a place where you can have all the different materials in one place. You can update them as you need. But to put it simply, this will make your life a lot easier. You can have the materials in different presentations, and updating them once will update them elsewhere in all the presentations. Then you have brand management, text, and colors. You can update the texts, for example, and they will be updated in all the presentations. You have media banks, so place to store, and in some cases you can use the more powerful features like replace to replace an old logo, for example. And then I know this is a bit confusing view, but you have the access levels of the different access levels that you can have with different individual users. So you can choose on how much access or how much power an individual user has. We have another webinar on all of these topics. So if these are something that you need to work with daily, I highly suggest that you sign up for that as well. And now it's time for Kalle to take the mic and my voice to rest a bit.
Thank you. So next, we're going to be talking a bit on how to present Seidat materials and then how to share them to the customers. So basically, there are two ways to present with Seidat. The first being the basic screen share that you would use in a Google Meet or Microsoft Teams. So if you want to start the screen share, you would do it the same way you would do with any other presentation platform. So you share a screen and then select the tab. And on Seidat, when you want to play a presentation, so you want to have the presentation on full screen to present, you simply go to the workspace and press on the play button next to the presentation. And as Joona said earlier, since the Seidat presentations are structured in the matrix structure, navigating the presentation with arrows is not ideal. So therefore, the easiest way to do it is with the help of the presenter view. And you can launch this presenter view simply by pressing P on your keyboard. So the button P. So when you press P, it opens the presenter view on a new window on your computer. And you can keep sharing the original tab or window where you have the presentation open. And then from the presenter view, you can easily switch slides and it will be switched on the original window or tab. And in the presenter view, you can also write down meeting notes that you can then either copy paste after the meeting and then put them in your CRM, or if you have an integration with Pipedrive, they can also automatically be sent to your CRM. In the presenter view, you can also gather information about what slides you were showing during the presentation by clicking on the slide history button, which will help you then gather slide-specific meeting notes, and also you can retrospectively look at which slides were actually presented during the meeting. And it's important to keep in mind that when you are sharing, especially if you're using Microsoft Teams, where you can't share a tab, is that you select the window to share, that it's the different from the presenter window itself. So always select the window or tab that you're presenting to be the one where you actually have the presentation open. Then the second way to present is if you don't want to deal with the hassle of sharing your screen, is to share with a link. And it's quite simple on Seidat. So when you go to create the link on the share presentation part on Seidat, when you create a link, as you can see, there are 3 different modes that the link can be on. So browse is the traditional mode, where if you're sending material to a customer, you have the link on browse mode. But if you want to present, you can put it on the live mode. So live member or live anyone. So for example, now Joona is sharing his screen in this webinar, but because we both have opened the live link, I can change slides here freely without Joona having to do anything. So if you want to use the link presenting, you simply create a link on Seidat, then put the link on live member or live anyone mode, and then send the link to the customer or whoever you want to be presenting to, and also open the link yourself. And then on your own screen, you can be having a presenter window open, and you can easily switch slides, and the customer will only be seeing the slide that you want to present. This is really useful, and it serves a lot of purposes. For example, if you're having a phone call with the customer, you can easily start sharing some materials for them simply by sending them the link. Or if you're, for example, in a trade fair, you can have your laptop hooked up to the larger screen, and then if you have opened the live link also on your phone, you can easily switch the slides on a phone. So really fast and easy to use, and serves a lot of purposes. Then when you want to actually share the materials to the customers, there are also a couple of options here. So firstly, if you want to send the material via email to a specific person, and you only want that person to be able to see the material, from the direct share part in the share presentation, you can just type in the recipient's email address, and then they are the only ones who are going to be having access to that presentation. They have to create a password so that they can log in and see the presentation. From the share presentation, if you go to export PDF, you can also export a PDF file that you can then attach, for example, to an email. But the best way to share the Seidat materials is with the link, like I said. So with the link, the benefits of the link is, first of all, that the material is always up to date. So for example, if you have smart slides in the presentations, once you send the link to a customer, it will always update the material. So for example, if you send a customer presentation today that has, for example, a reference slide that is a smart slide, next week, if the reference slide is updated and the customer opens the link, they will see the updated version. And when you're creating the link, you can simply click on the create new link button. Then in the link note, you can write down an internal note that won't be visible to a customer. So write down there, for example, who you're sending it to. So it's a lot easier to keep track of who the links are being sent to and what links are sent to which people. Then on the right, you can from the calendar button, you can set an expiration date to the link. So if the customer tries to open it after that, it won't be visible, the presentation to them. Or you can simply delete the link by pressing X. Then, as you can see in those links, you can also keep track of how many times the link has been opened, and you can get notifications to your email when the link is being opened by pressing on the bell icon on the link. And getting the notification, it's always real time, so it's really useful when you are, for example, sending materials to customers during a sales process. The information is invaluable when to actually know when the customer is opening the materials. Next, let's hop into the analytics part. So do people actually view your materials? So firstly, the analytics that Seidat already has in the app itself is firstly what I was just kind of talking about there, about the links and how many times have they been opened and when they are being opened. So like I said, you can easily track how many times a link is being opened in the presentation, in the share presentation view. And with the help of the email notifications, you can keep track of when the customers actually open the link. If you want to dive deeper into seeing when what the customers are actually viewing in the presentations, we have a analytics dashboard that allows you to see what slides are being viewed and how long are they being viewed for. So Joona, if you want to scroll a bit on the dashboard there, this is the basic view where you can basically see what people in your workspace, what presentations are presented the most, and what slides are being presented the most. And if you go up to the top of the dashboard, there you have a field where if you paste a specific share link, you can see how many times different slides have been viewed in that specific link. So if you send a link to a customer, you can easily see what they have actually been viewing in the material you sent to them. But as I said, this dashboard is a part of our process subscription, or this is something that you can add on top of your core or plus package. And if you have a plus package and you don't want to acquire this dashboard itself, it is also possible to gather this deeper analytics by going to a, for example, Google Tag Manager and integrating that with Seidat. So with this integration, you can basically add Seidat as another data source in there, and then you can view the data in the Google Analytics dashboard as a data source. So here is an example. Here is an example of what that looks like basically in Google Analytics, where you can see how many times a specific presentation has been viewed, how much time have they spent on specific pages in that presentation, etc., etc. And this can also be done on HubSpot through the same integration, or on Dealfront, where you can see which presentations and which slides in those presentations are being viewed and for how long. And now I'm gonna give the mic back to Joona, who's gonna be talking a bit about the sneak peek into an upcoming feature.
Thank you. Yes, let's go forward. So the thing that I promised you as a cherry on top on this webinar at the end is a Seidat database that we have coming out. So we are rolling out the database within the next few weeks. I would say the first version of it. In the beginning, it will be possible to only update them manually in Seidat, but in the future, we will have the possibility to integrate Seidat database to whatever tool you're using. That said, what Seidat database is and what it does is that it's a place where you can store and update data. That's, to put it very simply, So you may have any text format data, Boolean format data, image data, for example, or images rather. And the use case is if you have, let's take me and Kalle as an example, that we are two customer success managers here at Seidat. We would have our details like our name, email, phone, whatever address on our database, and then whenever we would have a new phone number or something, we could update that in the database, and it would update in all of the different presentations that the material is using. So that's keeping the materials up to date is getting even more easy. And of course, after we have the possibility to integrate that with different tools, then it becomes even easier, and you can do daily or even hourly or even instant updates on the details. Another possibility is that you can have, let's take again me and Kalle as an example. We're two customer success managers. We could have our details with our image and address and phone number and whatever on a slide, and then from the top right, or the UI is still a bit under construction, we could change to view both of the details all in one slide. So it wouldn't require you to have 2 different slides or 10 different slides for different teammates. You could have just one. And sorry, there's a bit of a lag on my computer. So you could have different content on one slide. And in this example, we could have, in this hospitality example, we could have the deluxe room to be changed to standard room, for example, and whatever room en suite or something you would have. You could update the text, the images, the icons, whatever you want to update there through the database if you build the presentations in that way. And it sounds very simple, and it is, but it's something that will make the presentation editing so much more easier. It's gonna, I hate to sound like some tech startup CEO, but it's gonna revolutionize how these presentations are edited in Seidat, because in the future, after the database is out, it doesn't make sense to build the materials in the same way anymore. It's going to allow you to have something on the slide itself written there for your customers, but then let's say the product info would come from the database on the same slide. It wouldn't make sense to write the product info on the slide anymore, because if it comes from the database, you could update that much more easily. So it is something that we are really excited to get out, and it's gonna take Seidat into the next level for sure. All right, that's a sneak peek. As I said, it's coming out. We don't even have proper materials. These are something we whipped out in a few minutes for this feature to come. We will of course keep everyone up to date. We will host a webinar once it's done. We will send newsletters and stuff to get the word out of this feature. If there's questions, you guys online can ask them, but I will briefly at the same time, when you're thinking of the best questions, introduce you to a few of the assets that you can use to get even more information from Seidat. So we have the support.seidat.com web address, which you can access, and it has hundreds of support articles in pretty much anything we can discuss in this webinar is there, and much more. We also have Seidat Academy, which is on our website. You can see all the different webinars that we have hosted there. You can get the recordings from there, and yeah, there's a lot of stuff there. So keep that in mind. And as a last thing, keep these social media channels in your social media following, so you will get the latest details from us, and sometimes not so how do you say, uptight content also, so you will see the life of what we do here. Kalle, do you want to wrap it up? I'll say thank you from my side. I'll let Kalle say the famous last words.
Yeah, thank you for everyone. And like Joona said in the beginning, if you're an existing Seidat customer and you have any questions or any issues you want to discuss regarding Seidat, or I don't know, anything in the world, feel free to contact me via email or phone, or then if you message us in the chat, most likely it's gonna be me who responds. But so you can catch me from there also. So don't hesitate to contact if there's something you want to talk about regarding Seidat. My job is to help you guys get as much out of Seidat as possible.